YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with some more NFL free agency predictions. Here we are on March 20th, few days into free agency, and we still have top tier, really good free agents available. And I'm going to go through a bunch of them, give landing spots, narrow the list down a bit until we get my final prediction on where these free agents will land. Some already coming off the board, maybe more coming off the board as I'm recording this video here, and we're going to talk about that right now. Actually, if you follow us on Twitter, you already know this. I kind of tweeted a sneak peek of the graphics of this video, letting everyone know it's coming, and you can see the date and time there. I had Melvin Gordon going to the Broncos. The graphic process, it took me 3 hours to make these graphics, so then I got to record them. Here I am. But yeah, I was hearing some rumblings that the Broncos were really earlier in the week they were really interested in finding a RB1 caliber running back to pair with their current RB1, Phillip Lindsay. They wanted two of them. And then this morning I wake up, Gurley off the board, off the market. He's with the Falcons. So I'm thinking, it's got to be, but it's pretty clear that it's between the Bucs, the Bills, and the Broncos. And I was really feeling the Broncos to make that push because we don't really know if the Bills were kind of interested in getting another RB1. They like Singletary, and the Buccaneers have spent some money, quite a bit of money this offseason. So was feeling the Broncos, and then almost 20 minutes later, it actually came out, and then Melvin Gordon signed here. So that Melvin Gordon was going to be a part of this video. And so I'm hoping to get this video out before anything else happens here. Not expecting to be 100% correct on all of these. I mean, these are just straight up predictions, just using my knowledge here. So, but before we get started, 2 channels. Please subscribe to both full NFL content, and then follow that Twitter. As you can see, it's a must follow there. And then there's links down below for the podcast, 4 episodes out. Excited about that going forward. So Clowney's the first one we'll talk about. There's the landing spots up there, some obvious ones. I use 8 teams for every player here. And I narrowed down a top 3. And the reason I chose these 3 is because they're actually linked to them right now. I've heard that these 3 teams have offered, or not offered, but called about Clowney. And I think they have offered. The Giants, we were rumored before free agency began that they're going to be all in on Clowney. I still think that's a possibility. I had a prediction about months ago that he'd go with the Colts. Obviously, as you could see, I'm feeling less confident about that, but I wouldn't rule out the Colts. And the Dolphins are a sneaky team too. Still a bunch of cap. They're trying to get better right now. I think he would fit. I think he fits any scheme, honestly. But I narrowed it down to the Seahawks, Titans, and Jets. And yesterday I was feeling, kind of feeling the Seahawks to get him back. But I've definitely changed my mind here after seeing something. And my prediction is going to be the Tennessee Titans. And that something that I saw was how some of these contracts are laid out for the Titans. I was kind of, it's really hard to project cap space after they're having new signings because we don't really know how they laid out those contracts. We don't know the cap hit, and the Titans really backload. Dennis Kelly is like barely any type of cap hit this year, and that tells me that they're after somebody big. The only thing that tells me not Clowney is because they signed Vic Beasley, but the Titans were a very good team last year, AFC Championship game, and that's without pretty much any pass rush. Harold Landry was solid, don't get me wrong, he's going to get better, but that Chiefs game, that pass rush performance in the Chiefs game, AFC Championship game, was very poor. That's being generous. And they know that. So they want to stack it up. I think you could actually use Landry, Beasley, and Clowney at the same time. They cleared space for something. It could be this. It could be somebody else. It could be, and they traded Jarrell Casey for a reason as well. It could be to replace him. It could be to bring back Logan Ryan, who we'll talk about. I'm feeling the Titans right now. Got to go with my feeling. Yesterday I was feeling the Seahawks. A couple months ago I was feeling the Colts. So we'll see. I'm going with the Titans there. That'd be pretty wild. Everson Griffin, who now I kind of had a feeling he wouldn't be back with the Vikings. Now the Vikings shouldn't even be with top 3 now. These graphics were made beforehand, literally a minute before recording this video. His agent came out and said that he will not be back with the Vikings. So, again, made their graphics before that, but I didn't have him going back to the Vikings. I like the 2 other landing spots a lot, Cowboys, Seahawks. As you see, I didn't have Clowney going back to the Seahawks, so it plays a part here. So if Clowney goes back to the Seahawks, it changes some things. It could be Cowboys, but I think you can tell that I have him going to the Seahawks. I see a perfect fit there. They would definitely be interested. The Seahawks seem to not be wanting to extend their pass rushers long term. Frank Clark, Clowney. This is an option that's going to be a 1 to 2 year deal, most likely. A guy that You could consider elite, maybe close to it a couple years ago. Maybe declined a little bit, but still a very good pass rusher. From the Vikings there, and Seattle would love to have him for a 1 to 2 year deal. So that's kind of my feeling, mainly based off fit, need, and that they'll lose Clowney is my prediction. But again, if Clowney goes back to Seattle, they will not be getting Everson Griffin. So I've gotten 2 predictions wrong already, which is possible. And then we got Jameis Winston, and I used 8 teams for everybody. I'd say all of them. I don't think any of those have a 0% chance, honestly, but some of them are less likely than others. Top 3 for me: Patriots, Chargers, and Jags, which nobody's talking about. If I had it, everyone's talking about the Steelers. This is not going to happen. I mean, if he wants to play for dirt cheap and sit behind Big Ben, yeah, but it's not going to happen. They don't have the cap space. He doesn't want to be a backup. But everybody loves the Steelers. Yeah, it would be a good replacement for Big Ben once he's gone. But maybe they can talk about a future. Tell him to sign 1 year somewhere else. So doubtful, but maybe that's a possibility next year. But yeah, really what I'm leaning towards here is the Patriots and the Jags. I don't think the Jags have anything set with Minshew. They didn't really want to trade Foles. They did it. They're looking out for their future. Winston could be part of that. I think he can get better. I actually know he'll get better, I guess, depending on the team. But something's, it's tough between the Patriots and the Jags, and it's maybe more of me hoping it happens. I guess. I don't know why I hope it happens, but I kind of want to see Jameis on the Patriots. But I think the Patriots are kind of waiting out. I think they'll bring him back for cheap, and I think they'll draft one. Cam's a possibility. Dalton's a possibility. This is just kind of what I'm feeling at this moment. But I look out for the Jags. Not too many landing spots for Winston, though, right now, and that's driving his price down. So that's unfortunate for him, really. And then next we got Cam, who's actually not a free agent. This is a free agency video, but I think he'll end up being a free agent. The Panthers really blew it by not shopping him weeks ago, if not months ago. They kind of held out, and I think deep down they knew what they were going to do. So that was I like the Teddy Bridgewater signing, but that was a bad move. And then you see pretty much the same teams here. I didn't put the Panthers up there because I don't think he's going back. The Buccaneers, probably not either. I think more likely the Jameis could go back cheaper 1 year deal, but unlikely again. And then narrow it down to the Chargers, Jags, and Redskins. I'm split between the 3 of these teams. I really am. And you could throw the Patriots up there too. It's I had to make myself choose 3 teams. Wanted to put the Patriots up there as well, but as you can see, I had Patriots going with Jameis. I think the Chargers go draft the Jags. I don't know. I don't know what they want to do. It could be all in on Minshew. I don't think so. It could be a guy like this, a guy like Jameis, or Minshew in draft. I think if he gets released, that makes it more likely to me he goes to the Redskins. I think that's what happens. The Redskins, I'm not saying they don't like Haskins, but this team is going to try to win right now. That defense is going to be real good, and Ron Rivera knows that, and they need help on offense. They tried to go all in for Cooper. They missed on that. So they're trying to make this offense win now because they know the defense will win now. So Ron Rivera brings in a familiar face. He was riding with Cam all along. It was clear Cam Newton was hurt, and he kept going up to the podium saying, "This is my quarterback. This is my quarterback." It took pretty much to be, okay, this guy is 100% hurt. We can't play him anymore. This is bad. So Newton knows Rivera's his guy. Rivera knows Cam's his guy. I would like that very much, and it could be somewhat cheap if it gets released. Shelby Harris, who I think is one of the top free agents, very surprised he's still on the board. There's a lot of teams he can go to still. The Broncos traded for Jarrell Casey, but their whole D-line is free agents pretty much. And the Texans missed out on DJ Reader, their own DJ Reader. The Colts got DeForest Buckner, but could pair Harris with Buckner. It'll be something, let me tell you, if the Niners could, they gain the 13th pick from Buckner, and then just to get Shelby Harris for a lot cheaper than Buckner, that would be A++ move in my opinion. The Jags need so you can see I narrowed it down. Maybe he replaces Jarrell Casey in Tennessee, but I narrowed it down to 3. Even though, as you can tell by the way I'm talking, I like the Titans, I like the Niners, even though I don't have them up here. To me, the Broncos could bring them back, even though they got Casey. They can pair both of them. But really, I'm deciding between the Texans and the Jags. And it's 50-50. It's really 50-50 between both of those two. It's tough for me to decide. The Texans got to do something here. They have the cap space. They're trying to win now. They lost DJ Reader. Shelby Harris can move around a little more than DJ Reader. I think this makes them a better team. They're saving their money for something. It's got to be something like this. It's got to be for Shelby Harris. The Jags, they need multiple defensive linemen. They need somebody in there, and they have some money too because all the trades and cuts they've done. So this is a possibility for the Jags as well. I think the Texans are a little more likely just because they're trying to win now. The Jags really, aren't they? But Harris can be part of that, so that's why it's 50-50 for me. 51-49 Texans, I guess we'll say. And then we got Derek Wolfe, his teammates, who could go back to the Broncos. They could pair him with Casey. The Patriots, I've heard they were going to have interest before free agency began. Don't know if they do right now. I think he has less fits than Shelby Harris. I think Shelby Harris fits pretty much anybody. I think more likely that Wolfe is a 3-4 end no matter what. So I do like these three teams. The Buccaneers could be that sneaky team. But what I'm going with here is I'm going when he goes to the Broncos. They just signed Melvin Gordon, limits their cap a little more, but Wolfe's not going to be too expensive. They're going to pair him with Casey and probably a guy like Draymond Jones, and they're going to draft somebody or something, but those probably be the three starters there. So I think he'll go back to the Broncos. If the Titans miss out on Clowney, I'd look out for this. He kind of can play on the D-line with Simmons and Jones up there, so that's actually a possibility as well. But the Titans, to me, are saving up for something bigger, or maybe just multiple guys that are pretty solid, like Derek Wolfe, so we'll see. And then we're speaking of the Titans, you got Logan Ryan, and I think Clowney just is the first piece of this whole puzzle here, because Logan Ryan could very well go back to Tennessee, but if they get Clowney, I know they're two totally different positions. It's not what I'm trying to say, but if the Titans miss out on Clowney or go Clowney, they're not going to have the money to afford Logan Ryan. They did draft Amani Hooker to kind of replace Logan Ryan, but there's a huge difference in skill, and the Titans will know that. Logan Ryan, to me, was the best slot corner in football. Narrowing it down here, and I do like some of the other teams. If the Eagles can really just kind of finish off this secondary, the cornerback unit, I like them. The same. I haven't heard anything about the Packers, but adding him in there with King and Alexander would kind of finish off that secondary. Would like it a lot. The Vikings need corners, more corners. They lost their slot corner, Mackenzie Alexander, and the Seahawks. I would like a lot too. Yeah, they really missed Justin Coleman last year. They really need a slot corner, but. So the number 4 would probably be the Seattle Seahawks. So out of these three teams, obviously I don't think going back to Titans, even though they would interest if they missed out on big money guys. My pick goes to the Titans. The Dolphins they've had big time interest. They spent so much money on corners already, but he is a slot corner. I went with the Browns. They still have money. They haven't had any major big signings, maybe since Hooper possibly, and I guess Conklin as well, but they had a ton of cap, and to me, none of those are just real major, so they have the cap space, they have the need, they don't have TJ Carey anymore, they need a slot corner, so I went with Logan Ryan going to the Browns here, but this is a tough one. I named several teams that very well could get him, and then Delanie Walker, another former Titan here. I feel pretty good about those final three, except the Patriots I would kind of throw in there as well. I guess if he doesn't go to one of those 4 teams, I'd be completely shocked. I think my top 3 all need another tight end. I've heard those teams are kind of looking at the market for tight ends. We saw the Packers bring in Mercedes Lewis back, and then the Redskins Logan Thomas, but they still need a bigger time tight end. But I guess I go with my gut a lot, and I'm going with the Colts here. I think it's a really good pairing with Jack Doyle, like a good Ebron replacement. It's very important to them that they have 2 tight ends. That they want both of them to be able to block and to be able to catch the ball to the backfield or downfield, I should say. And that is Doyle and Delanie Walker. I think it's a really good pairing. It's just kind of my feeling here, and I think the Colts, you can keep him in the division here. He can play against Titans 2 times a year. Question with him is about staying healthy. Is he going to decline because he is up there in age? But I just like, out of those 3 teams that really probably called about Delanie Walker, I think Colts are the best fit, and that's kind of what I went with there. And then we got Robbie Anderson. Receiver market is quiet, not surprising at all. They're asking for a lot of money on top of it being the best wide receiver class of all time. You might be able to get a second-round pick that's day one. It's crazy, but better than Robbie Anderson here. Narrow it down to 3, but I mean, the Texans are a strong possibility. We see downfield speed, how dominant it is in their system when healthy. That's kind of why they're not in the top three, because Robbie Anderson has his injuries. Will Fuller is kind of who I was talking about, dominant in their system. But I don't know if they want to bring in somebody with injuries. Eagles would love him on the Eagles. Another Deshaun Jackson but same thing. Do they want to bring another guy that could get hurt? And I think maybe outside the Packers' price range, but that would be something right there. And I think the Raiders kind of go draft. So I narrowed it down pretty easily, in my opinion, even though he could go to those other teams I named. Jets, Colts, and Redskins. The main reason the Colts and the Redskins is because they're almost in a position where they need to overspend. I don't really want to say that, but they almost need to grab a receiver in free agency. Why? The Colts don't have a first-round pick. They have 2 twos. That looks pretty good, but something tells me they're looking for their future quarterback, possibly a Jacob Eason. Those could be packaged to move up, so then they can be without taking a receiver for a couple rounds there. That's kind of a scenario in my head. The Redskins don't actually have a second-round pick. We know they're not using a first-round pick on a receiver. They tried to get Amari Cooper. So mainly I was leaning towards the Jets number. Let me reveal that. I think he's going back to the Jets. The Jets number 1, the Redskins number 2, the Colts number 3 here. I think he goes back to the Jets. They I don't know if they know what they're taking. They really shouldn't. A lot of teams don't know what they're taking in the first round. Could that be O-line? Could that be receiver? We got to see what falls to them. But even if it is a receiver, you still need more, in my opinion, and you're going to have to focus on a lot of other positions in the draft. I think the Jets are going to have to get him back, but again, strong possibilities with those other teams there for sure. And then Emmanuel Sanders, who similar situation. I think the Niners, they freed space trading Buckner. So I think they would like him back. They traded for him. They believed in him. They gave up things for him. They would like him back. He was big for them when he was on the field. Colts, for the same reasons. I think he's a good fit. Same reasons, though. They're going to need to grab their receivers. Yeah, the Redskins could be up here too, but I do like the Packers as well. Will they they'll be taking a receiver in the draft at some point. They don't really like to do it, it seems like, though. And what's going to be there at the end of the first round? They're not going to trade up for a receiver, in my opinion. It's a different type of receiver class, so maybe that makes them. But nothing's really guaranteed. It's possible. There's so many people out there that just go, we need to take a receiver, we need to take a linebacker, or when teams don't do that, like, why didn't they take a receiver yet? It's because they're not going to overdraft somebody. A team like the Packers is smart. I think they'll need to grab one of these guys, and I think that's what I have happening here. I think they're letting the market settle, which is smart, because these guys come out asking a lot, and they realize that nobody's going to give them that much, and they realize it's because it's too much money and because of the draft class. So they'll calm down a little bit. I thought the Packers would be a good spot for him at the trade deadline. I think it could happen now. But again, the Niners did free some space, so they can definitely get him back. And I talked about the Redskins. Definitely may need to grab a receiver here. And then Marcus Golden, last one that I switched my opinion on here while making the graphics, really. But a lot of teams that could use an edge rusher. If the Titans miss out on Clowney, if the Jets miss out on Clowney, teams that miss out on Clowney, they can definitely grab him. But narrowed down the Giants, Texans, and Jets, teams that need another 3-4 edge rusher for sure. Teams that are in the market for them for sure. Teams that I'm surprised haven't grabbed one yet for sure. But I was originally going to go with the Jets because they're in on Clowney, and I think that's why Golden's sitting around. And I think they're going to miss on Clowney because I think he wants to go for more of a contender, but a strong possibility. So I think they can be all in on Marcus Golden and maybe pay top dollar. So I was kind of feeling that. Still kind of am, but from what I've heard, Golden likes the Giants, and he's kind of sitting around waiting for the Giants, and that means the Giants are kind of waiting for somebody else. So that could bring back the Giants back into the Clowney, even stronger in the Clowney situation too. So we'll see there. Maybe the Giants end up with Clowney, and my top 3 are completely wrong there, but that's why it's tough to do some of these. But yeah, I think he ends up going back. The Texans. The Texans they need somebody, but Golden's a risky one because he's had his injured years, he has his low productive years, and he had a year like last year, which is out of nowhere. He did have a good year for the Cardinals at one point too, but the Texans, it just doesn't sound like a Texans type of guy. They let Clowney walk for lack of sacks, even though to me he was very productive with pressure and elite run stopping ability. But so they could use him. But it's a battle between the two New York teams, in my opinion. It's a battle. The Giants versus the Jets, so we'll see there. But it's really not a battle. Yeah, I think Clowney is setting he makes the chain here. It's a domino effect after Clowney's off the board. And it's not even with the pass rushers either, because we talked about Logan Ryan with the Titans. We talked about some of those other players. So Clowney, to me, I like Clowney a lot. I voiced that quite a bit. So he's a big-time free agent, the best one available. Elite run stopper, fits any scheme. You can do multiple different things with him. He's improving as a pass rusher. I don't care what the sack numbers say. He gets double teamed more than anybody, and he provides pressure, and especially in big time moments, I always think he shows up too. So that's my thoughts on the remaining big time free agents. There are more. I can talk about them on Twitter. Go follow that Twitter. But yeah, subscribe to both of our channels. Check out the podcast. A lot of signing grades and free agency videos on the channel. A lot of draft videos to come. Trade grade videos on our second channel. So we got you covered more than anybody here. So hopefully you continue to stick with us here. We'd really appreciate that, and we appreciate you for watching this video. That's going to do it. Goodbye.